welcome all of you to this inaugural edition of Joka Dialogues Industry Conclave 2024. May I please ask Professor Manish Thakur, who is our Dean, to say a few opening remarks.
But this new initiative, by way of Joka Dialogues Industry Conclave, is the brainchild of Placement Office. On behalf of IIM Calcutta, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We all are trying to optimize, the insights that you have accumulated over the decades in different leadership roles for the benefit of our batch. And they would be graduating in 3 months' time, and they would be joining the world of work and business. We should benefit from your insights so that when they go, they should not be, caught unaware. So there should be some some sort of support from you. So we think of our Alumni Connect by way of two events. One we call Reminiscence, Silver Reunion, and that Golden Jubilee Reunion. As an institute, we are aware of the value that alumni brings to us as an institute, and thank you so much.
As academic, we are always wondering whether the inputs that we are giving to our students, how could possibly they match the expectations of the recruiters? Are those the right inputs? What are the things that we might wish to change? Could possibly the recruiters tell us if our students were our products? Then could the recruiters tell us how they would want to see these products in the future? And that requires having a dialogue with our recruiters. And what could have been a better dialogue than having this to be initiated with somebody whose minds at one point of time were shaped by this institute itself. So welcome very much our own alumni. We look forward to seeing you a lot more in the future. So this is something that we take very core to our heart, that this is something that you are telling not only to the faculty members but to our students also how they should look like when they approach the market. We are all here and we are very much looking forward to listening to you. Thank you so much.
I'm Nimruji. I'm basically a scholar. I'm a teacher. Birth, it's a miracle. It's an accident. It's a joy. And finally, here we are at the birth of Joka Dialogues. When there is a birth happening, it doesn't matter how minutes old or days old or months old, you start dreaming. And the dream that we have for Joka Dialogues is that its stature is such, it transcends the bounds of this campus. It's something which every Joker can be proud of. Maybe a series of dialogues that becomes what contributes to the social conscience of this country, this society in general. We hope that this Joka Dialogues, we are a family. And families laugh, families joke, families debate, disagree. Families also share difficulties, and families rely on each other. Currently, the Career Development and Placement Office supports the placement activities of 4 different programs. One is, of course, the 2-year flagship MBA program, which was the erstwhile PGP, which is running its 60th batch, and currently the batch size is about 480 for this batch. So we support both the summer internship placements and the final placements. Then we have a 1-year MBA for executives, which is a full-time residential program where minimum 5 years work ex is the entry criterion. So there the batch size is about 75 to 80, and we support the placements of this particular program as well. We also have a unique program called PGPEX VLM. It's unique in the sense that it's a tri-institute program jointly done with IIT Kanpur and IIT Chennai and focused on manufacturing. So both this VLMP program and the MBAX program are in their currently are in their 17th batch. And we have the most recent entrant into our portfolio of full-time programs is what we now call the Postgraduate Diploma in Business Analytics. In toto, the work that this office does, we process and we bring smiles to the faces of about 1,200 folks every year. Erstwhile, there used to be something called the day and slot system of placements. So companies, CTCs, or their brand image would determine when they are going to come. So this was leading to a lot of unhealthy consequences. And about 3.5 years ago, a shift was made to what is called the cluster and the cohort system. So currently we only have 3 clusters and a 40+ cohorts. And the beauty of the cluster cohort system is that all of them open at 8 a.m. Better part of it is we are able to get better student recruiter fit. So that's the beauty of the cluster cohort system. That said, now we also, but for the other 3 programs, we follow what we call the rolling process, where the season begins on a set date. Like for instance, it begins from 1st November for PGP EX, VLM and MBA EX. And the season begins, the internship season begins with late August for PGDBA. Rolling process is where 1 or 2 companies come on any given day, set at mutual convenience. So this is basically what we are doing as a process and what we are supporting as an office. Signing off by handing over to my moderator, Professor Anamitra.
I am Anamitra Chatterjee. I have had 2 careers. The initial part was corporate. Joined Deutsche Bank from IIM Calcutta. Moved to London School of Economics. Then I came back, joined PricewaterhouseCoopers. I've been here in Calcutta for 12 years. Part of me does executive coaching. A part of me does teaching of leadership development, organization behavior as an adjunct faculty in IIM Kozhikode, partly in IIM Calcutta in some of these classrooms, partly in the UK. And a part of me also does corporate training programs. I move on to my fellow moderator, Professor Lakshmi Goyal, PGP 44. Class of 2007-9. She's had, following her engineering from Gujarat, she worked in TCS. Then she came to IIM Calcutta, like all of you here. And then she spent a couple of years in Aditya Birla Group. She was a scholar. And then she did her fellow, her PhD from IIM Indore. Following her IIM Indore fellow PhD, she joined over here in the Strategic Management Group, and she's a professor. She will be my co-moderator. It's also a pleasure now to introduce the panelists whose names: Shantanu Shah, PGP 22, 85 to 87, Godrej, Titan, a host of other senior roles, Geo, and then he's the Chief Marketing Officer, Reliance Retail. Arup Rakshit, PGP 29, class of 92 to 94. Current position is the Group Head of Treasury, HDFC Bank. He's BTech from IIT BHU. Then, of course, he came to do his MBA from IIM Calcutta. His job out of campus was Deutsche Bank. Rajesh Subbarao, PGP 31, class of 94 to 96. Bits Pilani came to IIM Calcutta. Notable roles include being with Morgan Stanley. He is the India head of Infosys Consulting. Devashish Majumdar, PGP 40, class of 2003 to 5. Devashish did his engineering from IIT Kharagpur, worked for 2 years, came to IIM Calcutta. He joined IBM. He also worked, after post-IBM, he has worked for about 15 years in SAP, different roles, different capacities. But what's important, as I read about Devashish, not only finished his education with his BTech from IIT Kharagpur and MBA from IIM Calcutta, he contributes, volunteers, founding, managing trustee for teaching children from poor economic background. Devashish, this is inspiring. Rajiv Moitro, PGP 40, class of 2003 to 5, current position partner at Deloitte. Look, we have a set of about 4 questions. Let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4 or ABCD. We'll divide it between me and Lakshmi, and we'll ask the 5 panelists So the question is a focus on how the IIMC brand helped. How your experience was it? It could be as per anticipated, it could be a challenge, but I would like the students to hear from you, and over to you, Shantanu.
I come from an era where there was just three of us, A, B, and C. So to that extent, I would say, like Professor mentioned, that there was a very strong brand salience for IIMC those days. You need to stand out. You need to be different.
Thank you. Can we now move to Arup?
You can't choose your parents and you can't choose your boss. Never quit a job because of a bad boss, because you don't know tomorrow you'll go somewhere else and he'll be your boss again. So you have to work through that. We have to be adaptable, we have to be flexible, we have to be open enough to absorb and gather whatever you are looking, whatever is coming your way. There was a sales angle, and if you're not a salesperson and you realize in the first 3 months, 6 months that this is not your role, cut your loss, get out of it. Because hanging on it for 2-3 years, losing out on the career is not what one should have it.
I think there's a theme of adaptability which came across from both Shantanu and Arup. Now we move to Rajesh.
As leaders, right, we need to define the right metrics, because people perform based on what they're measured for, right? And metrics drive behavior. So if you define the right metrics, not just for individuals, but also for departments or teams within the organization, right? It drives behavior, it drives either selfish behavior or collaborative behavior. All of that is driven by the kind of metrics that you define. So that's been one of the learnings for me.
Thank you, Rajesh. And now we go to Debashish. What was for you?
So fact is, my marriage was confirmed before I placed in IIM Calcutta. So it proves the ROI IIMC brings in, you understand. That is the brand you will carry. It is a heavy, very respected, highly acclaimed brand. It will stay with you for rest of your life. So it comes with a lot of responsibility, lot of weightage.
Thank you. And now we come to Raji.
When I started off consulting, it was purely strategy consulting, business consulting. Now we are having technology also built in some of the solutions. Like people are talking about how do you mix, strategy with generative AI.
In the early years, right after they passed out from IIM Calcutta, and share their thoughts, maybe what were the differing motivations, what were some of the key challenges that you might have faced, the opportunities that you got as a result, what according to you could be a perfect inflection point, viewpoints on that would be more than well.
I think one of the things that stand out about IIMCians is that there's a certain amount of humility we have. And that helps us a lot in actually getting along with your peers in a company, etc. You'll find there's a difference. 2 years that you spend together, brings in a certain amount of humility, your rough edges, and it rubs up a lot more in your first job.
Thanks, Shantanu. Can we have Arup?
That initial 5, 7, 10 years of your career where there are different pulls and pressures coming. And that may not be the most lucrative from a pay package perspective, so you have to balance a lot of issues out. And then you can get into a different kind of a role.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Arup. Rajesh, your viewpoints?
Each one of you will have your own career path. Each one of you will make your own transitions, some of it determined by you at your pace, some of it determined by events. But always see, this is a knowledge economy. Make sure that you always have a particular skill set and you're always aware of what's going on, and also be networked. This network of people, right? Be connected, get to know what's happening. You learn a lot from this than from books and other sources.
I believe in conservation of luck. Somewhere you will get opportunity and you have to grab that opportunity. So that is the important part of it for any transition. In same company also you will get opportunities, but to recognize that opportunity, grab it and then nurture it, that's what it makes you different.
What is happening in the market? So I've seen 3-4 trends in terms of, there are a lot of people who are doing career transitions in terms of very specific skill sets, because we're also seeing people transitioning into entrepreneurship. I think that is probably some of you may have already thought about.
Change. We know that Gen AI and other forms of technology are going to rapidly change how industry looks. So I'd like to know, I'm not a doomsayer, I don't think that's going to completely remove our jobs, but I'd like to know how these kinds of shifts in industry previously affected career trajectories, affected lives.
technology or other types of automation, other types of changes have always impacted jobs. They've taken away jobs. Like, think of the standard example is the horsewhip and the buggy, right? When you have cars, then the horsewhip manufacturers lost their jobs, right? But there were newer jobs created. The question is, how many of the horsewhip manufacturers got into, manufacturing cars or something, or doing support there, right? So it depends upon your readiness.
Look, Gen AI will not replace humans until it develops intuition. Look, intuition and feeling are things through which we enable decision making, not only because Myers-Briggs type indicator tells us these things, but these are important aspects which actually inform the decision makers. Now let's move to another question.
So I have a question regarding that. When we are getting into a completely new territory, which is completely new out of our own interest, at a certain point of time of our career, but still in the job requirement or the expectation of the recruiters are still to come with certain amount of that expectation. For example, if I want to transition to data and AI completely, I need to have certain 4 years, 5 years of experience. But if I were to make the transition, how should I handle that?
As you are adding years and experience to your career, in some way you are deepening knowledge, in some way you are verticalizing your growth. Okay, you move from assistant manager to senior manager, as some of their career transitions journeys have been. Okay.
So you need to know, there'll be new job opportunities like this which may not have existed 10 or 20 years ago, but you need to know the foundation. You need to know the basics. That's how you get into these new lines.
So this is what the question is about, your current leadership landscape. So what could be the leadership challenges which you would like to leave as thoughts in the minds of these students?
Treat it as a canvas which has a few things drawn on it, but there are enough vacant spaces as well. So your role is to draw that canvas, those vacant spaces in a manner that the final picture that is coming out for us to see looks very cohesive and very pleasant to see. The attitude to work and learn and the aptitude to grasp whatever is there is something which will help.
Almost the most important criteria of leader. So if you want to make yourself leader, you have to be empathetic towards everything. So it is not that I am selling something, but I am not feeling for the customer's challenge or problem. You have to feel it genuinely. So that genuineness comes, people can understand. So that part of empathy towards your customer, towards your subordinate, towards your entire organization, that is very important part of being successful leader.
What would be one single biggest leadership challenge that you face as of today in your respective roles, and ways in which you might have overcome it?
Managing talent and talent understanding that the leader behaves in a certain context.
Finding quality talent is a challenge. Retaining quality talent is also a challenge, because people don't just stick at this generation. I don't know what it is, but they look for instant gratification, I guess. They're very impatient, switching jobs. And I think during the COVID period, we also saw a lot of churn. And see, end of the day, in our work, it's all about people. You need to build your network, you need to build your relationships within the organization and with clients. And that means you have to stick to the organization for some time to even build your network, right? To build the relationship of trust. Only then your value, your ability to get things done improves.
Today, you don't need to have people who are working with you full time. You need to have a mix of people who are full time as well as on gig kind of working, because they will bring the right skills and they probably are more suited to that kind of working.
What would be your expectation from IIMC?
For me, very selfishly, it will be to handle the quality question. When we had smaller hiring requirements, right? People who joined us, had all the excellent soft skills and communication skills, the drive, the analytical thinking, and they were really self-driven, right? Whereas when we broadened the hiring pool, people were fairly passive. They waited to be told to do something. So we had these issues, and we saw that behavior also from the top 10 B schools, maybe the COVID batch. I don't know if because they were doing all their learning fully from home. I think there was a dip in quality, in my view. In our experience, there was a dip in quality that I saw. So what I would really hope that B schools can do is to focus on improving the quality.
Putting a thought down cogently, articulate, and so that, and simply, using simple words so that your subordinates, so to say, can understand what you're saying is something the current generation lacks.
So in a way, we used tools like ChatGPT to replace our own creative thinking, right? I mean, it ultimately boils down to that.
So could you please elaborate on your career journey, maybe your time at Joka here, how it shaped your, articulating your purpose clearly in a way? Anybody in the panelists?
Yeah, Rajesh, why don't you have a go at it?
I think I've always said is, be selfish. You're not working for an organization, you're working for your family, right? You take into account your best interest and the interest of your family. I think that's the one rule that I expect my team members also to live by, not just me. Okay.
Do you have any suggestions to offer on how one might use the boldness that this brand offers?
What my suggestion to larger, not this particular forum, that if you can encourage IIMC that you take more experienced, people who have gone for 2 to 4, 5 years at least in the industry, have some knowledge, have some financial, kind of stability, and then join, they can.
So I have a slightly different perspective to this pre-course. At least one, I would say external project built in. So that will give two things. One is give the practical experience to make you market ready. The second is, of course, it can give some remuneration as well along with it.
I think a structured approach here, right, between the alumni and the office here is something which might work instead of having an ad hoc approach, because that falls through. That doesn't get implemented anyways. So a structured approach to it is something which might be helpful.
If there was one takeaway where we alums have come here from this last couple of hours, what was it for you?
To my surprise, and again, not that surprising either, I think that the very fabric of Joka also binds us all, right? So I think for me, that has been the biggest revolution. It won't really matter whether I'm talking to an alumnus from the 20th batch or the 15th batch or the 25th batch or the 30th batch. Despite all of us having very different career trajectories, personal and professional, personally as well as professionally also, different lives and all, still we would be able to relate with each other at some level. And I think that has been the biggest revelation and the biggest source of joy for me this evening.
The source of joy. Thank you. Can I now pass it on to the person to my right?
I think probably the takeaway for me is the power of our network. I think IIMC as a network is tremendous. I think that connect and the alumni network is a takeaway for me.
My takeaway will be, whatever you are learning here, it will remain with you in the rest of our life. And all the fundamentals what being taught from the textbook and in the class, it is very valuable. How to apply in a real life situation, that might differ. Perfection is the enemy of good. It is always, don't wait for perfection. Take action. Whatever you want to do in life, start now.
I think for the first time in a really long time, I feel at home, right? Being here at IIMC Joka, right? So I really mean it. Okay. So I don't feel that we are of different batches. I feel that it's like a family. So I thank you for giving me this feeling for the first time in a really long time. Okay.
What I take away from this, make friends with fear. We can never overcome fear. It walks alongside us. As long as we make friends with it, it walks next to us. If we allow it to walk ahead of us, it gets the better of us.
Okay, my takeaway is, I think the joy of being an IIMCian, that's one thing that is great. How IIMC is a great leveler.
Thank all the panelists once again formally.
Professor Anamitra. Lastly, Professor Lakshmi. To propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. We thank our esteemed panelists, alumni speakers for readily agreeing to participate and support this initiative. We could not have done this without you. We are especially grateful for the unstinted support provided by the Calcutta chapter of the IIMC Alumni Association. Thanks to all of you, the named and the many unnamed who made today possible. We remain grateful.
I think dialogues like this are extremely important because we live in a world that is changing quite fast. Businesses are also facing very much the same challenges, so dialogues like this are extremely important. So thank you for taking the initiative, and I hope this is only the first in a series of dialogues that you will be having later. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.